well, speaking of us meeting in a commissioner corner to talk about fancy leagues, we're going to move on to our next segment, fancy football, because you and I have tried one league together for the first time this year. I have another one, but in order to keep the fantasy football going through the playoffs, we have found some very fancy football.
Fancy football.
So fancy.
So fancy. Oh, you got it. Pinkies up, baby. All right. All right, so there's two, and I want to give a shout out. I wrote it down so that I remember to give a shout out.
Everyone saw that there was two, right? Everyone saw that there was two.
There's two, huh?
You gave us a 3, and then you said there's 2. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I was mentally trying to keep one finger up to be fancy, and it was the wrong one. So there's 2. Pinkies up. There's 2 leagues that I've tried. One with you, and then last minute I kind of got invited to another one that I thought was a really cool premise too. Huh?
I said last minute.
It was totally last minute.
Yeah, whatever, man. I feel it. It's cool.
Oh, because you're not invited?
Yep, there it is.
Oh, I should have invited you. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you how it goes, and then you can tell me if you like it, and I should have invited you, and the next year you're in. All right. But I want to give the first one a shout out because there's 2 different ways. The first one is like great for small groups.
Yep.
The other is great for however many people. It doesn't matter. I think there's 30 people in this one, so I had plenty of room to invite even more people, and I chose not to.
Interesting.
All right, so the credit for the first one, I don't know his involvement in it, but this is who I heard it from, and I sent it. But on Instagram at Tony.Squares. The video link I can throw in the description, but it was a quick Instagram story, short, whatever it is there. And this is how it goes. It's what we did was our commissioner group that we talked about. There's 4 of us in that chat that we run things by, and we decided to, as a celebration at the end of the season of like, hey, we're done with managing all these leagues. Let's just do one together. We all threw in $25, and I went winner takes all. There's only 4 teams. But here are the rules. Players must be drafted. 2 quarterbacks. I should do that part first. I'm good at this. 2 quarterbacks, 3 running back, 3 wide receiver, and 2 tight ends. And players must be drafted. They have to be from playoff teams, obviously. It starts the first game of playoffs. And then you cannot select more than 1 player from the same team. So you selected Saquon Barkley. Now you can't have, you don't care about anyone else on that team now. So you got him, and you can't have Hurts. You can't. So it's a weird format in that way where it kind of changes your approach to it. We learned in the draft, it was kind of weird for us to be like, oh wait, this team can't do anything from this one, or no one can get anybody from this team anymore. It was a fun way to do that. I think that's the biggest piece here, but I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. The strategy is a lot different, and something I look forward to doing every year going forward. You make mistakes early, learning a new draft, having to think through. It's a whole different draft paradigm. I was able to grab, not that it mattered after how the playoffs have run out, but in the last round, I was able to grab Sam Laporta as one of my 2 tight ends. Because there's so many Lions, the other 3 teams had picked different Lions by then. So I could just wait on a tight end position till the very end, knowing that Laporta was going to be available for me no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cool format to run it through that way. I'm looking pretty good. I'm, I think, 3 points out of the lead position in that league going into the Super Bowl, and I still have Xavier Worley and Saquon Barkley. So we'll see how it plays out.
My points. I'm out. Yeah. I'm not going to win. But I mean, there's so many surprises that came about that that kind of ruined me. But I think the last piece of it is there's no trades or waivers. You draft. There's 4 teams that draft. You fill out that roster that we mentioned. You can only have 1 player from each team, and then there's no waiver. So you just sit and it's easy. You sit and you just collect points, and it's almost a mixture between fantasy football and bracket construction.
Yeah.
So you're trying to predict who's going to go further. So like I thought the Chargers, shout out to your team, I thought that they wouldn't be on vacation with the Browns right now. I thought that they would at least go a couple of rounds. So Lad McConkey, I was like, this is going to be great. I have Lad McConkey. He's going to get me some like Buco points. The first game, he's like killing it. And then I think that was the only game he played.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
But yeah, same thing with like Detroit ruined a lot of people's plans.
Right, Detroit.
Washington, like people lucked out on. Like I think Jaden Daniels, like
Yeah.
you lost Herbert, you thought you were screwed, but Jaden Daniels went so much further than you thought. So you were in such a good position there. So it's a weird mix between like when you're drafting, you're like not only like what team can draft what, but also how far do I think each player is going to go. And
then we had bye week considerations, like for both Kansas City and Detroit. We had to think about one less game automatically for both of those teams, and obviously for Detroit, and ended up with one game. But I loved it because it's super condensed. We did it 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's over on Sunday. You do it with the people that like a tight knit group of 4 guys, and it's basically our commissioner group chat.
I'm sure you could expand it too. By a couple,
I
but
think
not
it'd
much.
be hard. It'd be pretty hard. Yeah, it'd be. Yeah. We'd have to change up the
roster construction.
The roster's construction a little bit. Maybe include kickers possibly.
Sorry.
I think that's you noticed he left kickers out of it. I almost didn't join, but it extends this anything that you can do to extend fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Like everything ends after week 17 for most people, unless you're one of those crazy leagues that goes through week 18, which my daughter's league did that.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, she went through week 18. Hey, her first time playing fantasy football, and she's the champion of that league. Hopefully we start a legacy here.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything we can do to keep it going. Now officially on our fantasy football enjoyment doesn't end until the football season ends now after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I love that. And so it's changed for me. It's changed in a couple ways. Like let's talk about benefits, drawbacks of this. Benefits, everything that we've talked about, super fun. Yeah. Made me care about every game. It made me want to watch every game, which like I in general like watching playoff games, but I was like, this one I really want to make sure that I'm watching. And then the drawback is there's always a celebration of like fantasy football is over, playoffs start, and there's this like I love fantasy football, but I get to watch football and enjoy it just for great plays and not be mad that that person caught it instead of that person. And so the drawback is you do just never have that now. That is part of it.
Yeah, you did just remind me that like for years and years early in my fantasy football career, I actually refused to draft Chargers and redraft because I just wanted to enjoy Chargers games.
Yeah, you've said that. Yeah.
That obviously has changed if you look at my dynasty team now, but I'm kind of living and dying by them. And if we grab, actually, I'm not going to talk about it yet. We'll talk about the rookie draft eventually here.
Sure.
But
I think if you grab Genty is what you're going to say. If you and the Chargers grab Genty, I know you enough. But so I think that is downside. The counterbalance here is we did $25 each, and the other league that I'm in is also just $25. So it was like $25 for a fun thing, and I'm not going to be super competitive about winning. So I put my mind in a place of like lose, win, whatever. Like I want to watch good football, but it makes it a little extra fun. But I don't think that I would do like a throw down $150 for this league for a playoff for just the fact that I just don't want to ruin playoff football. Like so I think to protect that there's going to be a cheaper leagues in my future with the playoff one specifically. Whatever you got to do to just don't lose the fact that you get a break from fantasy football. Now the cool thing is for this format, you do get a break because you don't have to do the It's kind of like Vampire. You don't do the waivers. You don't do the extra stuff. Draft and you're done. Like kind of best ball situation. Draft and you're done. This next one is a little bit different, and I don't know if I've talked to you about this one or not. But this one is like 30-something people in it, and again, I'm sorry. And it's a player elimination league, and it was kind of weird. I'm not doing great, but it was kind of weird to like just implement some kind of new strategy. Same thing with the last one. The format is, I think I might be off on. I think there's kickers, but it's like defense. I think it's everything: defense, kicker, like a tight end, a flex, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, quarterback. I went up instead of down.
I don't understand why you're not doing well.
Yeah, it's a kicker. No, actually, I don't. I have to look back, and maybe I just never pick a kicker out of protest, and that's why. Maybe there are kickers, and I haven't chosen one.
I buy that.
But it's player elimination. So all it is like everybody can pick anybody, but once you've picked that one player, you can no longer pick them. So you are still doing brackets where you're like, I think, like I picked a couple players where I was like, I think that they're going to lose. So I want to make sure I get, like, I think it was like Brian Robinson on the last game they played. I was like, I want to make sure I get him now because I don't think that they're going to beat the Eagles. And I want to make sure I get some points for that and save Barkley for the next Pete. So there's you're still kind of working with the brackets there. And then there were some that was like, wait a second, Detroit lost? Like, I didn't grab anyone from, like, I was saving Gibbs because I assumed that they were going further.
Right.
So there's these weird, like, balances where you don't want to be into the playoffs and then just be like, all of the best players are gone and I have no one to start. I'm starting third-string people.
You draft a team, but you can only play them once?
You don't draft them. You just pick every week.
Oh, okay.
So you can pick everybody can pick anything. I should have probably been clear on that, but anybody can pick anybody every week. So there's no draft because everybody can pick any player, but you can't pick them twice. So
got it.
It changes how you approach it.
That's interesting.
It is weird.
Yeah.
So I think my neighbor got me into it, and it was just like the day before he hit me up. He was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I jumped in, and his strategy, he's been doing it for a few years. A good strategy that he has is the onesie positions, tight end, I think kicker. I gotta look back. That's how little I care about kickers. I don't even know if they're in this one of 2 leagues I'm in. Quarterback, tight end, kicker, maybe defense. He only picks from one side though, like NFC or AFC, and he'll only pick from them no matter what. So that no matter who wins on the other side in the Super Bowl, he still has it. So like that was his strategy, which made a lot of sense.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
So he'll really. So I purposely, instead of picking like Josh Allen last week, I picked Hurts because I was like, if Washington does come up and win, I've already picked Jaden Daniels, and then if I pick Allen and the Buffalo Bills win, or vice versa, then I'll have no quarterback. So I was kind of forced into picking Hurts instead of Allen. But that's one of the strategies out there. I'm sure it gets a lot deeper, but it was interesting. It's been a lot of fun.
So he told you about it. You had like a 24-hour period before it started. You could have shot a text. It takes 30 seconds. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
no worries.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, no, I feel bad. There was someone I didn't invite to my wedding and that I forgot about, and then years later, they're like, "You got married?" I was like, "Fuck, yeah, I should have invited you." So I feel like same level, same amount of love for
same level for sure.
Yeah, so no,
leaving me out of a new fantasy experience is tantamount to not inviting me to your wedding if we know each other back then.
I didn't see this conversation going this way, but I think it should have. I deserve this.
I'm with it.
I
obviously agree. I am for the stance that I'm taking.
I don't like me either.
Love it.
All right.
Well, this has been fun.
This has been fun.